Welcome to my channel. I'm Dani Walker. Today we're going to be talking about how to prepare your body for a pageant. And I'm not talking about going to the gym. What I'm talking about is personal and self-care. If you're brand new to my channel, I hope that you will consider subscribing and also hit the notifications so you know when new episodes come out. So let's get right into this topic today. The first thing we're gonna talk about is hair. So I personally balayage my hair, and I know that a lot of contestants that compete in pageants like to dye their hair, color it, cut it, straighten it, do all sorts of things to their hair before a competition. So when I was competing in pageants, I always made sure that about 2 weeks before the pageant was that time that I was going to get my hair touched up, cut, colored, whatever it was that I needed. And the reason I say 2 weeks is because you still want your hair to look really fresh when you hit the pageant stage, but you also want time to make adjustments. This has happened to me before. My hair did not take well to a color and it started turning a sort of orangey tone, which was terrible, but because I stuck to my rule and made sure that my hair appointment was 2 weeks before my competition, I was able to go back and get my hair toned and everything was beautiful and looked just as I wanted it to look. This is really important to mention if you're competing in a swimsuit competition. So one thing I would not recommend is trying a new method of hair removal the week of your pageant. Not a great idea. So whether you want to shave, wax, or get laser hair removal, whatever it is, don't experiment with anything new right before your competition. Stick to what has been working for you in the past. Now, if you are looking to try something new, and if you do have the time to do this, then a month in advance or more would be a good time to test out a new hair removal method. But because so many women out there have sensitive skin that can be irritated when it's shaved too much or when hair is pulled from it, there's all sorts of things that can happen, all sorts of skin reactions. My advice is to shave as close as you possibly can to the actual day of competition so that your skin isn't going to be irritated. Unless, of course, you are someone who does get skin irritations anyways, then you might want to look into finding a new form of hair removal that is not going to irritate your skin so you don't get any razor burn, bumps, or rashes that would be visible on stage. Now, if this does happen to you, you can always use things like Sally Hansen body makeup. It's like in a can, it's a leg makeup. You can use that to cover up any things like irritations on your skin. Once again though, make sure you test it on your skin beforehand because you don't want to make anything worse if your skin is reacting. But if you are trying to use a little bit of cover up on your body, that's a really, really great product that I used a ton in pageants. I loved it. Personally, leading up to a pageant, I tried not to wear any makeup. Whenever I don't wear makeup for a long period of time and then I do put makeup on, that my skin looks a lot clearer. It looks less textured. At least the week before, I would stop wearing makeup completely. Sometimes I would also get a facial. There are a lot of really, really great facials that won't irritate your skin, but that's one of those things that I would suggest for you to try out months in advance and figure out what is going to work best for you, because you don't want to have a weird reaction with your skin right before the pageant, because then you're going to be worried about that and you can't be focused on competition. So keep that in mind when it comes to skincare. Personally, I'm someone who loves a good tan, but I don't want to damage my skin from being in the sun. So I choose to fake tan instead for pageants. And I know a lot of contestants can be really, really worried about this or nervous about it if they've never done it. Honestly, it's not a huge deal. The one thing you need to do before you go get tan is make sure that your body is exfoliated. And this right here, I will link it, is the exfoliating glove that I use. You can find it in the description below. Absolutely loved it. So make sure that you are washed and exfoliated before you get a tan, that you don't add any extra products to your skin if you're getting a spray tan or if you're going to tan yourself at home. I know that some contestants prefer to use tanning beds. I don't love that. Not to say that I haven't done it before. When I was competing, what I often did was do a booth spray tan because it was less expensive than if I paid someone to actually spray tan me. And I never had any problems with the booth spray tan. It is definitely a new experience and you want to make sure that you are covered evenly. So make sure that if you go and try this out that you ask questions before you go in. I've seen some contestants do some funny things and then they end up with like streaks on them, and it wasn't the tanning booth's fault, it was their fault for what they did before they went in. So if you're unsure about anything with a spray tanning booth, then ask those questions. And then later in pageants, I got really comfortable just tanning myself. So I would exfoliate my skin and then I would use a tanning mousse. At first I started using Saint Tropez, but it's pretty pricey. So two good alternatives that I found were Bondi Sands. I love the smell of this tanner because if you've tanned before, you know that sometimes they have a funky smell. And this one smells a little bit more like a coconut scent that like good smells for being on the beach, like that kind of scent. And then the other one that I really have liked lately is the St. Moritz dark tanning mousse. And I always went for the dark tanning mousse, by the way, because I wanted to be as dark as possible, but I never thought that it looked too dark or it looked really extreme. I loved the look of it. If you look back at my Instagram at Dani Walker, you will see how that tan looked on me when I was competing in pageants, so you can kind of get an idea of that. Loved it. And I will actually link both of those in the description below if you want to try them out for yourself. I do recommend also to get yourself a tanning mitt and make sure that it is lined so that that tanner doesn't go through the mitt and end up on your hand and then give you sort of orange hands. I've definitely made that mistake before too. Are you liking this episode? Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with your friends. A lot of the times when we get a spray tan, you don't want to get it wet, and that includes sweating. So if you start sweating, you can basically lose some of your tanner. So a lot of contestants, they'll wear deodorant, sometimes they won't. There's so many different things when it comes to body odor and sweating that you can kind of consider. So here's an extra tip. If you did do some sort of a spray tan or self-tan, know that you cannot get that wet, and every different tanning solution will tell you how long you have to wait before you can get it wet. So if you happen to tan yourself at night and you're gonna sleep and let that spray tan sit, then make sure that you are in a cool room, because if you sweat at night, you can lose that spray tan and it can transfer onto your sheets or onto your clothes. So whenever I tan, I always make sure that I put on something afterwards that I don't really care about, just in case there is any spray tanning transfer onto my clothes. Now, if you're worried about things like sweating before an interview and you don't want any sweat stains on your wardrobe, something that a lot of contestants will do is they'll just pop some tissues into their wardrobe and into their armpits, and then they wait, they leave those there, they let it sort of absorb any of that sweat, because we sweat when we get nervous, and then they remove them right before they go on stage or before they go into an interview competition. Another thing to think about is deodorant transferring onto your wardrobe if you do choose to wear that. So people ask me, when do you wear deodorant for pageants? And it depends. It depends on the wardrobe. Sometimes you're gonna put on outfits that are really restrictive of your movement, so you have to put deodorant on before you put the outfit on, and you have to be really, really careful to make sure that it's not transferring to any of the wardrobe, because sometimes deodorant can stain certain delicate fabrics depending on the type that you use. So for deodorant, ladies, use discretion. Hopefully, if you're going to be in a pageant rehearsal or doing an event for an all-day thing or outside, you will be able to wear some deodorant. But the times that maybe you don't wear it are for our on-stage competitions, if you're really, really worried about something transferring onto a $6,000 couture gown, for example, and you're planning on reselling it. So you want to plan ahead and think about these things and know that there's no one-size-fits-all answer for this, but you need to use your discretion when applying things like deodorant. Personally, when I competed, I did not not wear perfume, especially into the interview room. I may have put it on for a rehearsal or something like that, but when I was going to be up close with the judges, I didn't put it on because I did not want a judge to smell my perfume, and for some reason they hate that smell and they're thinking of their ex-girlfriend when they smell it and they're like, oh my gosh, I hate that. I don't want to draw up any bad memories for the judges when I walk into a room. So personally, I think it's better for interview, don't wear any perfume. If you want to wear it on stage, they're not going to smell it. They'll be too far away. So that's totally your preference, but I just wouldn't recommend it when we're up close and personal with judges. I do have tons more tips for pageant contestants specifically, so if you need help preparing for your next pageant, check out my pageant prep playlist. I'm gonna link that in the description for you. And if you need even more help and you want more insights and things that I don't share on this channel, then just be sure to sign up for my free pageant prep course. You will find that linked in the description as well. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope it's been helpful, and I wish you the best luck at your next competition.